Hello, fellow Econaut, and welcome back to our show. I'm here with my brother Ben, the Rocketman, and we are talking about the journey to Mars. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Hey Simon, hey fellow Econauts. Yeah, we want to have a bit of a bigger picture while we do what we do. We as in we in
Why we do
humanity.
what we do? Well, maybe
Yes,
maybe we
exactly.
start
Because we can.
because we can. Um, I think a good start would be to review or uh, take a look at the background of the mission to Mars, which already started with Apollo. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about the Apollo mission and the journey to Mars.
Yeah. We have had a number of episodes now talking about going to the moon, and I think I hinted a few times that the Apollo mission and the Saturn V, which was designed by Richard von Braun, was actually designed to get to Mars. So the whole aspiration to go to the moon was merely a test because that was the first celestial body in our reach. But the plan was always to get to Mars. There was always in the vision, let's say, of everybody. But yeah, obviously you can't do a journey without doing the first step, and that's why the moon was sort of the first the first destination. And also to prove a lot of concepts, as we mentioned in the first lunar landing and the first man on the moon. We didn't know what's going up there, what happens, how much radiation we will expose. We had some measurements, but some things you only know when you go. And there was a big space race, and it stopped abruptly when the Apollo missions were stopped and replaced with the shuttle missions.
Maybe at this point we should mention that Apollo was actually designed to get to Mars
With Saturn V,
with
yeah.
Saturn
So the
V.
Apollo missions
Yeah,
was moon, yeah.
that's exactly what I meant. You already mentioned Artemis is designed to prepare us for Mars by getting to the moon first and then to Mars. Maybe there are some insights you can share or some ideas that you have how that can be accomplished and maybe even a little bit of a time frame. I know that this is a hard guess here, obviously,
Yes, very hard.
but maybe you can have like an estimate in from your point of view what you can imagine could be reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, if it goes to Elon Musk, we should have been on the Mars already. So I think he's very eager to do it as quick as possible. But I think a very realistic time frame. And again, as you just said, it's a lot of guessing. There's a lot of you know, there's a lot of hurdles and a lot of critical pathways, let's say, before we can go there. And I think Artemis is a very good guideline for that in terms of time frame. So let's assume Artemis 2 is launching next year. That is first surrounding the moon. Then let's let's be very optimistic. ALHS has already been delivered. Just as a reminder, that's the human landing system. We talked about that in a previous episode as well. And 2025, we could have the first man on the moon. Successively, let's say 2026, 2027, Gateway will be established. 2028, 2029, the permanent base on the moon will be established. And, then aspirations go there. It has to be built up. We might have to build up a fuel station for hydrogen and oxygen and so on, which is, by the way, not for Starship. Starship is not flying with hydrogen and oxygen. Just as a reminder, Starship will be merely refueled in orbit of Earth with multiple emissions and then start from here. But again, I'm digressing a little bit. And then I think it will take a couple more years from then to actually go there. I do predict that we will see the first man on Mars by 2035. That's my prediction.
Well, then we have, of course, to answer the question, why are we doing that in the first place? I mean, if it is such an investment, not only on time, but also resources, and we already talked about that many, many times, how dangerous it also is to actually do that. What is the benefit? Why are we doing this in the first
Yeah,
place?
that's a very good question, and there's a myriad of answers I can give to that. Let's look at this little infographic provided by NASA. It shows the whole Moon to Mars journey. And I think the big three principles, if you look at the left here, what we're just representing Earth, is science, exploration, and technology. Still, it might be a very great concept now to think of, okay, what are the benefits? But let me explain a little bit. First of all, let's start with exploration, because that's that's the easiest little thing. It might not be the big motivator for many people, but I want to remind everybody that humans have an inherent motivation, an inherent sort of urge to explore. It started obviously when we had smaller communities to explore what was around us, then go over the seas surrounding Earth, discover more and more lands, and so on. So I think it's very clear that humans we want to explore. So obviously there's a big urge. It's a big itch we have to scratch, let's say. And again, I know this is a very small motivator. The other two, science and technology, are more important. Both, I mean, for me, pretty much mean the same thing in terms of the benefits. We will learn more things about space. We will learn more things about us, about our age. We will learn more technologies to tackle certain problems we already have on Earth as well, in order to make Mars livable. So I said 2035 might be the first man be on Mars. However, we will not be able to live freely on Mars. Mars has not the same atmosphere as Earth has, and we can't live there in the outside. I think everybody knows that from many sci-fi movies. And in order to get that, we might have to invent geoengineering, and we might have to transform the planet in terms of getting a livable atmosphere there. This technology alone would be a game changer for humanity, because that would mean we might be able to go to many other celestial bodies, and vice versa. And we had many episodes about that, such as space agriculture and medicine and so on. There will be lots of benefits coming back to Earth, remote operations, communications, navigation, and so on. All these things, they will heavily benefit from that.
If I may here, I mean, as the non-scientist here, I think if I break it down from my point of view, I can imagine Mars is the big desert planet where nothing is growing, basically. If we can actually make it work that something is growing on Mars, then we have the possibility to also grow something on Earth in hostile environment, like a desert, right? I mean, that's already one benefit. We also have to think about, because we may not have the room available to grow a lot of food, which means that we have to stack food, which is something that is already happening on Earth. Don't get me wrong. I mean, certain form of vegetables can already grow not on on a surface, but basically stacked on shelves. That is already a thing here on Earth. And there are so many more. We talked about science, and you mentioned that too, right? We might be able to have like certain medicine that have like a higher potency, just because they have been manufactured in space, where the conditions are different compared to Earth, right?
Yeah. And I think one big reminder is that most inventions come out of urgency. And if you have to live in an area where resources are scarce, you need to use them as best as possible. And if we find ways to do that in an economically viable scale, that would automatically benefit any operations on Earth.
I also, if I may, I also would like to go back a little bit to what we said, or what you said before, in terms of the timeline. Because we have like plenty of examples also happening here on Earth. I remember, and in preparation of this episode, I was actually thinking about that. how I can answer that question for myself, right? As you know, I have an IT background. I did programming a little bit and stuff like that. And I remember our dad was like, "Oh, computers are just a toy." Now everybody is using a computer. I mean, we have like, we mentioned that in previous episodes as well. We have like a more powerful tool in our pockets than in 1969, where they had like sent someone
Yeah.
on the moon.
Yeah.
And that is already like incredible. So it's not that far fetched if we like predict based on that example our journey to Mars as well, because at some point there will be a domino effect, right, where suddenly things will be in motion that cannot be stopped anymore, and that will have like coming back with ideas that we haven't even thought about right now, right?
Yeah. Imagine future civilizations on Mars, or future population on Mars. They think, oh, why haven't they gone earlier? What took so
Well, it took
long?
them.
It's such a great
It's such
place.
a great place. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. It's absolutely just imagine 100 years from now, someone is watching our our little video. It's like, oh my God, those guys, they had no idea what they were
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's like incredible to think about that. And I'm very happy to be part of this journey. I mentioned that to you privately. I'm not a rocket scientist, so the only way for me to be part of that journey is like through that show. I'm very grateful for
Yeah,
that.
but don't forget, believing in this and just understanding the concept is no rocket science.
Uh, well, I think we have to end it for today. We are already going in the direction we
Very
start
interesting.
digressing. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. We certainly did. Maybe you learned something as well, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already,
And hit that notification bell.
and hit the notification bell. All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye.